Greetings. So I've been playing Dragons Down a bit, and we're going to continue that game, and we'll post a video here tonight or maybe tomorrow with the second week of our game that we've been running. But while I've been playing, it sort of struck me that the I have the Executioner, the Ranger, and the Magician. We're going to leave the Magician out of this for a moment. The Magician's a pure mage, as I call it, but what this game has sort of brought to the fore is I have a little bit of uneasiness with the hybrid fighters in the game, and what I mean by those is you'll see the Executioner here and the Ranger both have the the characteristic that they trade a cube for a single magic cube, right? So the Ranger trades for a green here, and our Executioner trades for a black. And you will see that there are other characters that do this. Let's just take a look. The Battle Mage, the Bard, the Paladin, the Rune Sword, the Trickster. And those I call the sort of the hybrids, right? They are fighters. They are also mini mages, right? The Magic Realm equivalent would be the Woodscrow or the White Knight. To a lesser extent, the Elf. The Elf is very much a half and half hybrid, right? But here you have Bard, Battle Mage, Rune Sword, and then Executioner, Ranger. And I'm a little bit, I'm going to say, I'm wary when I play these particular classes because I think that the hybrid model is a little more dangerous and a little less effective than it is, say, in a Magic Realm. And I did want to talk about that briefly. It's not that these characters are unplayable or they're unfun, but if we take a look at the Barbarian versus, say, the Executioner, let's just take sort of a similar loadout here, and let's not worry about equipment as much. Is what I've found is giving up that one cube, often a brown cube, for the one magic cube has a huge opportunity cost. And it makes the hybrids a lot more painful a little bit and difficult to play. And you have to be sort of, I think, wary of that. You can't go, oh man, I could between an Executioner and a Barbarian. As a for instance, I would probably, if I was trying to be the most competitive I can be and get the best chance of winning, I would say take the Barbarian because I think that brown cube goes a little further than the single magic cube. And I think this is true in the case of the Executioner. I think it can be true in the case of the Ranger and the Paladin and so on. Now, again, this isn't 100%, and I'm not even. This isn't even a gripe or a bitch or oh, this is imbalanced or whatever. But what I've come to realize is I have to be very aware when I'm playing these characters of what I'm going to do with that magic cube, or else I'm going to have a bad time. And the reason is because you are giving up 1/7 of your fighting capability to get that little bit of magic. And so that little bit of magic has to literally make up for 1/7 of your fighting prowess. It's often a brown cube, as I said. And those brown cubes are super important because that's how you hit something, including with your spells, which you paid a brown cube to get. It's also your ability to run away. So if you don't have... So it just becomes very... And this is unlike, say, in a game like Magic Realm, where I can give up a couple chits, but still have a very good single chit that lets me, say, run away, like the Woodsgirl does. The Woodsgirl can still run away. The Executioner, or the Archer, Ranger, I should say, might not have the capability to run away because he gave up the cube over the Archer, who, again, has 4 brown cubes versus 3. And you might say, well, okay, that's fine, but you get this versatility with magic that you don't get as the pure fighter, and the answer is sort of, right? You have to be you have to pay attention to that cube. So, for instance, okay, I get a green cube. I took Trailblaze. Now, what are my options with one green cube? My options with one green cube would be effectively the first 4 spells, and we'll talk about that in a second. But Nature's Help, reroll any number of search die during the search action. During one search action. But you don't fatigue the chit. You don't wound the chit, the cube. Trailblaze, which is what I ultimately took, which you wound, but then you can move 1 clearing for each move action, regardless of the clearing type being entered. So you save on mountains and swamps. And then we'll look at Move Earth and Calm. But let's look at this Trailblaze, because it does sort of go with some of these other 1 cube wonders here, right? So let's look at Trailblaze, and we can do a similar thing with Heal for the Paladin. If I cast Trailblaze, let's say I'm here or here and want to get here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast the night before, going to go 1, 2, 3. Done. Cost me 3 phases to get from here to here. It would have cost me 5 phases to get from there to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5 phases. I'm sorry. I use Magic Realm speak. It's not fair. 5 actions. So it costs 3 actions from 5. I have a save of 2 actions in this case. It cost me 2 actions to rest the cube I wounded. So all I'm getting in this case, in the case where you only have 2 mountain clearings together to traverse, you're really only delaying when you have to spend those phases. Options. Something like Trailblaze is way better. If you have the tri-peaks here, for instance, and you have 3, because again, if I'm going to go from here to here, it's going to cost me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 actions to get there. Whereas with the spell, I go 1, 2, 3, 4 actions. So I save 3 and have to spend 2. So I'm actually getting a savings of 1 action. So if you have a lot of mountains together, and if you're traversing some of the worst of the mountain tiles, High Pass is one of them. But again, if you have mountains stacked together, you're going to see more benefit from something like this 1 cube here. The other thing, so let's now. I think the Executioner gets pretty crappy use out of his cube. I shouldn't have taken Affliction, but that's a different story. Affliction is only good in the case where you are hidden and can maybe ambush something and maybe get that 1 hit to turn a 2-hit fight into a 1-hit fight, right? You wound him on round 1 while you're hidden, you probably become unhidden, and now you have to duke it out, but now your battle axe can do enough damage to kill the monster because you've already put a pip of damage on him. But other than that, there's not a lot of great choices for the Executioner with his 1 cube wonder, right? Curse, totally pointless unless you're PvPing specifically. Dark Matter, I don't know. I have not yet found a use for Dark Matter that makes a lot of, like a general use that makes sense to me. Swap the placement of Might Cubes and Action Cubes. It's permanent, by the way. So I think that's a spell that is probably its own entire play style that you have to think of, and I'm not there yet, so I will admit that. The other thing I thought of taking was Roll Undead. Now, why would you shift if you're playing one of these hybrids? How can you even cast these spells? And that would be enchanted. And so you would spend 3 phases, you would take your black cube, copy it, put it out here, and now you've got the ability to cast a 2 cube spell instead of a 1 cube spell, which is how the Ranger would get Calm, which is how you would get Roll Undead. So what the Executioner's strategy would be with Roll Undead would be to find the crypts and to find the catacombs, all the places that the undead walked, go to them, enchant that tile, Now you have the ability to roll undead, and now you can loot those places with impunity. So there are uses, but remember that costs you 3 extra actions in addition to whatever else you've got to do. So so keep that in mind. That's a 3 action play, right? I took affliction. I sort of went wimpy. I haven't used it yet, and I might not use it at all, and that's gonna, and that. So we'll see. Now the executioner's been fine. You'll see he's racked up a nice body count here. He's not a bad character, but for what he's done, the barbarian would absolutely have been better. Now, having said that, this doesn't take into account special abilities. The executioner, the first round of combat, the attack speeds of everyone attacking him is -1, but that's a single round of combat. And so you sort of get this vibe where if you're going up against one big monster versus you can go and put more cubes in attack than defense, knowing that this on round 1 is going to save you. But you're still looking for quick kills, in my opinion, with the executioner. You're still looking for trying to get the kill in, and he did with all these guys. He went all in, attack, and killed them all pretty easily. Again, a human barbarian would be just as good, if not better, at the same strategy. My point is, to make the executioner as good as the barbarian, you absolutely have to have a very specific plan of what am I going to do with that black cube. I think that's super hard with the executioner. It's a little easier with the ranger because Trailblaze, as we just saw, does give you phase savings or action savings in many cases. The Paladin's heal is going to give you some savings, I believe. And again, you could do a similar thing. Go to Undead Land, enchant, cast Turn Undead, and kill all the undead and then loot those places with impunity. Or, again, just take heal. And then what heal's going to do for you is, no matter how many cubes you have in the wound column, you can do the wound the one heal cube, boom, get them back. Keeping in mind that you're going to lose 2 phases bringing the white cube back once you cast the spell. The Battle Mage does not have this problem really because the Battle Mage can play a purple cube as though it was a red might cube. So he has a little bit more flexibility. So I don't really count him in this trap. I do count the Bard a little bit in the trap, but I think if you're playing the Bard, I think you're going very specifically for, I don't know. I think I would spend more time in sort of civilization. I don't know that I'm going on a killing spree as the Bard. And the Rune Sword can use a blue cube on any magic box on color. I do count him. You have to have a plan for this blue cube. So I just look at something like the Paladin and go, you should play a Warrior. If you're going to play a Paladin, I think Warrior is a more effective version of that character. Even though you get more hit points as a Paladin, I think you're going to ultimately be more defensive as a Warrior. Knight, or you go Knight and you go, I'm going to hit things infinitely fast and kill them before they kill me, kind of thing. So I don't think the hybrids are underpowered. I don't think they're bad characters. I don't think they're unfun. What I think is, you absolutely have to think ahead and go, if I'm going to play the Paladin, what am I doing with that cube? Because if I don't know what I'm doing with this cube, the lack of this cube really sucks. And if you don't have a good plan for the cube, play the straight fighter. Now I roll the characters that I get. I just roll them. I don't pick them. I just roll them and go, oh, you're an executioner. I have allowed myself to pick a race instead of rolling the race randomly. So I roll the class, pick the race, and in this case, I said I want this executioner to be fast attacking because I do believe in. I do believe generally fast attacking is slightly better than fast defending. So having that extra attack box is a little bit better than having an extra defense box. Unless your strategy is specifically to run away, in which case you need to shoot for 4 defense boxes, if you know, and go for that. And you can do 3, and you can get away with a lot of things in 3 if you're going to run away. But if you have 4, you're definitely going to run away. And the executioner was not going for a runaway strategy. It's a pound and tank strategy with armor. So that's sort of it. It's not a huge deal, and it's just something that I observed. When I looked at the Ranger, I thought, man, if I was going to play this game and I was vaguely trying to win with my friends or whatever, I think I'd pick Archer. I think Archer's generally better. I think Archer gets better boxes, attack, defense. I think you want to be high attack with. I think you get more brown cubes, so you can actually utilize those. The re-rolling the missile dice that killed this Ranger. If anyone watched the first 7 days, this Ranger lost both pieces of her armor because she couldn't roll the damn missile die. The Archer would have avoided that and would have won. And again, if you're not making good use of Trailblaze, I mean, what are you saving? 1 or 2 or 3 phases throughout the course of the game. You need to be, able to use that all the damn time. So, no big deal. And these are just, again, not that you can't play. You could even play a different strategy, is my guess, too. Maybe you... but that's it. That's where I'm at. I think be careful with these hybrids. That's it. And if I have it wrong, please tell me. Or if you have your favorite hybrid to play, or if you have a strategy for, say, the Ranger or the Executioner that's very specific, please come in the comments and tell me. I'm fascinated to hear it. So that's it. I will hope to get some of this game rolling tonight. And thank you very much.